Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. In this video today, we're going to be discussing the K-1 Fiance visa, specifically in the context of consular processing in the Kingdom of Cambodia, specifically the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh. For those of you who have checked out this channel and seen some of the other videos, you probably know that we are based in Bangkok, Thailand. We do deal primarily with immigration matters arising with Thai-American nationality generally. We deal with a lot of U.S. family immigration matters, fiancé visas, marriage visas, etc. Just because we're located here does not mean necessarily that this is our exclusive bailiwick with respect to U.S. immigration. It's sort of interesting insofar as immigration attorneys who practice in the United States tend to have a plethora or a rather wide range of nationality of clientele that they deal with, whereas sort of it's somewhat inverted by us being based in Bangkok. We primarily deal with Thai nationals. But that being said, I've dealt with cases involving the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, quite a number of cases involving that particular post, mostly because of its nearby proximity to Thailand here. But that being said, for those who are interested in sort of an overview of the process, it's best to look at it in sort of two phases. One involves the Department of Homeland Security, the immigration apparatus, USCIS, under the auspices of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is going to go ahead and adjudicate what's called an I-129F petition. That petition is basically the starting point of the process, if you will. You've got to file a petition, and you've got to get approval from Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, before being able to proceed further with the K-1 visa. After the initial adjudication of the petition, and let's go into some details about some requirements associated with the petition. Most notably, the couple in question must both be legally free to marry at the time that the application is filed. Moreover, both parties need to have met physically in person within a 2-year period of their initial filing of the petition for immigrant visa or for K-1 visa status. The thing to keep in mind with that is the big things to keep in mind is you got to be legally free to marry. You can't be getting a divorce. You have to already be divorced if you had a prior spouse. You got to be legally free to marry. And the other thing to keep in mind is this can happen in certain sort of common law jurisdictions, or sometimes even in civil law jurisdictions. You can't get married legally while the K-1 is processing, even if it's to each other as part of the, you have to wait and remain fiancés until the foreign fiancé, in this case Khmer, presumably coming out of Phnom Penh, comes to the United States, and then you have 90 days to get married and file to adjust status. Adjustment of status is a different process. It comes subsequent to marriage in the United States. There's another video on this channel which specifically discusses the details of adjustment of status. Suffice it to say that basically that's the process by which the foreign fiancé becomes, and later spouse, becomes a lawful permanent resident, aka green card holder in the United States. So that's sort of the back end of the process. Going back, petition, have to have met within 2 years of the filing. Need to be legally free to marry. There's other details associated with this. I'm not going to get too deep into that side of things. But presuming USCIS DHS approval, the matter is going to move quickly over to the National Visa Center, which acts as a sort of clearinghouse or routing hub to send it to the appropriate embassy or consulate abroad. In the case of Cambodian nationals, presumably that's going to be Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And at that point, you need to deal with the specific consular processing mandates of the visa section of the embassy over there. It's interesting to bring up with respect to K-1 visas, they are what's considered a dual intent visa. So technically speaking, they're a non-immigrant category. But for purposes of consular processing and sort of the application process, they're treated for all intents and purposes as immigrant visas, just like a spouse visa, CR1, IR1, or shades of gray here, but the K3 visa. So basically, to sum up with respect to this video, the process for getting a fiancé of Cambodian nationality into the United States begins in the United States, progresses through multiple agencies over there before getting to the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh. And then there's various documentation associated with the overall process, and various documents which need to be translated from Khmer into English, etc., etc. Our services, we can provide those translations part and parcel with what we deal with on a regular basis. I oftentimes have to go over to Phnom Penh to deal with clients as well, and that can sometimes come up. But just generally speaking, is sort of an overview of how the process works and what we can do to assist if necessary. Is basically it starts in the U.S., comes over to the embassy, and finally, I think it's pretty safe to say probably 8 months, 9 months on average, all in the processing time for getting a K-1. It can move faster, it can move slower. The thing to keep in mind with respect to all U.S. visa applications is they're like snowflakes. Every one of them is unique, every one of them is slightly different, and you're going to see one case may move inordinately quickly. I actually had one process through quite quickly as far as sort of compared to averages, and I think it just hit the right desks at the right minute and just sort of went through. Whereas, some cases they just move more slowly. It's going to differ case to case, circumstance to circumstance. But that being said, with respect specifically to Cambodia, K-1 visas again are going to start processing in the United States. They're going to end up in Cambodia, and then once the Cambodian national comes to the United States, marries their American citizen fiance, they can go ahead and petition to adjust status and receive a green card in the U.S.